Good morning, market communities, and everyone joining us for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the Market Chameleon pre-market show. This man, all the way from somewhere sunny, Dimitri Parkamonic. How you doing?
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Great. You want to start with the disclaimer?
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Before we get started, keep in mind, Will and I and Market Chameleon, we're not a registered investment advisor. We're not a broker dealer. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need advice, call your registered investment advisor, call your broker. That's what they're there for, to give you advice, provide with guidance. There's the disclaimer, and I'm going to share my screen. While I'm doing that, a quick note to anybody that may be joining us for the first time. Will and I, we do this show in the morning to help answer questions you may have about the Market Chameleon tools, the data or analytics. If you want to come on a show and ask your question live, we provide a link to Zoom on that live chat on YouTube. So click on that. It'll take you over to Zoom. Once you logged into Zoom, there's a button at the bottom of the screen, raise your hand. Click that. You could ask your question directly. If you prefer to type your question, you can type it into the live chat on YouTube. Will's watching that live chat. He'll read those questions back to me. While we're waiting for more people to join us and for questions to come in, we'll start taking a look at the pre-market report just to see if we could get some insights on what's trading in the pre-market hours, and then we'll move on to the questions. Okay, so pre-market report. These are stocks trading in a pre-market hours. I'm gonna scroll down here and take a look at this list here. We have a list of our most active stocks, our biggest percentage gainers, biggest percentage decliners. I see 80 stocks made our percentage gainers list, 40 on the decliners. So from this perspective right now, we're looking like we're setting up for bullish bias at the open. Let's come up here and take a look at this calendar view, which is it's a summary of what's going on in the pre-markets by calendar day. So you could go historically, but right now we could take a look at the most recent day, August 9th. So this is what's happening right now. We have 489 stocks that are trading higher than the previous day's close. This is happening in the pre-market. We have 279 stocks trading lower. As far as shares of stock, the volume, 244.4 million shares of stock are trading higher versus 53.3 million shares of stock trading lower. And if we convert those shares to a dollar value, we got $1.8 billion worth of stock trading on up volume versus 920 million shares trading down. Okay, so that also looks from the market breadth point of view like we're trading, that the market right now is indicating a bullish sentiment in the pre-market hours. Okay, let's come down here. I'm going to come back to this list and show you guys how to filter this list down. And you can see that these are stocks that made our list because they met certain thresholds, volume, price, and the way they're trading. But if you look at the list, there are small cap stocks that made this list. We have ETFs, leverage products. So pretty much any security that's trading in a pre-market hours and it's listed on the major US exchanges can make this list if it meets those volume and price thresholds. And to narrow it down to a small group of stocks, if you use the filters above, one thing you could do is if you have a watch list that you created, you can filter this list by your watch list. Or let's use this one, an ETF. I'm going to click on that and you get a drop-down menu. And from this drop-down menu, you get to select one of these ETFs, right? And when you do, the the list below will get filtered by stocks that are holdings in that ETF. So let's try SPY up here. That's the S&P 500 ETF. We'll click on that. We see that the list below got filtered by stocks. These symbols are holdings in the SPY ETF. And here we see that, which are the S&P 500 constituents. And here we see 10 stocks made our percentage gainers list, 1 on the decliners. So this also is indicating a bullish bias at the open at this moment. So we are a couple minutes into it. Will, if we have questions, I'll take the questions now.
Well, no real questions, but Rob did mention, and it's probably not great if it moves over here, and we've talked about it, floors. I guess deflation numbers have come out of China potentially. So there was some discussion on that, how it eventually could, maybe move overseas. And we've talked about it here that deflation, a deflationary environment isn't spectacularly good for the stock market. That's for sure, typically. But
yeah, there's some deflationary, but we are getting, mixed numbers all the time now.
Yeah,
but I did see that there's some deflationary numbers coming out, which maybe is good in the global battle against inflation, right? So I'm not sure if that's bad or good given the environment.
Yeah,
but
good point.
Let me see if you don't have any questions. Maybe what I'll do is just kind of go and talk about some other questions we had from previous shows.
All right.
Let me go to SPY here. And this was actually, I'm going to go to the options chain. That's SPY options chain. And this was a question, I think, that we've been getting more like a feature request. I think this is a feature request. I don't know if we talked about it, but the idea is that if you bring up a strategy, let's say you created a strategy. I'm going to do a simple one, like a call spread. So I'm going to buy this 445 call, sell this 450 call. So you could see down here, when I click on these legs, I get the legs of the strategy populated below with the details of those options. So buying the August 445 call for $7.03, selling the August 18th 450 call for $3.74. And then when we run it, we calculate it, we're going to get a lot of different statistics on it with a payout diagram. And you do have the ability to say, well, I'm going to I want to add this strategy to my watch list so I can monitor how it's doing, right? In the future, this one looks good to me. I want to add it to my watch list, come back to it, and see how it works out. So you can just click on this, add to watch list. So this added to my options watch list. And now it's sitting there. And I think we released this feature, but we're going to test it out now. So now it's in the watch list, and you'll come down here, go to your watch list, and so these are other watch lists that I created, and it's giving me a summary of them, but let's just go to the one down here, options watch list. Okay, I'm going to click on that, and here it is. This listed, see, long 445 strike, short 450 strike. This is the last price. We're using all the closing prices right now. And you can edit this if you wanted to edit the price. You could just click on this edit button and edit from here. Okay. but let's cancel that. And let's just keep that in there. And the question sometimes becomes, you do get these details also. When you click on it, you kind of get more details on this spread. So you could look at the historical chart, how this spread did over time. Okay, so that pops up. So you could see what, from the inception of these options, how the spread performed. But and on the day how it performs. So this is just today. So if you're just looking at it on the most current day. But then the question came up was, well, if I wanted to look at the payout diagram, or if I wanted to run the theoretical values again, how do I do that? Because I can't do it from here. So what we did do is create the ability for you to click over to the options chain and populate those legs. So you see this hyperlink here, you click on that, it'll take you to the options chain. So it opens up a new tab for you. So you can go back, you can go back here, look at it. But once you come back to the options chain, what it did was pre-populate all these legs, right? So these are right now, it'll populate the most current prices. And then you could just come back and say, okay, let me take a look at it from the most, recent data. What does it look like? Oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to see if there was a bug in it. So that looks like maybe there is a bug in it. So we just released this, but that does look like a bug in it. So I will fix that. But at that point, you could go in there and start, again, looking at this strategy without having to pre-populate. But there is like now that I'm looking at it, I think it didn't pick this up for some reason, the sell side. So again, we just put this out there. It could be buggy. If you guys use it, you should report it. But as I just did it, I am seeing a bug. So wanted to show that because this was a feature request that we just pushed out. Okay.
Awesome.
Yep. I'm going to make a note of it. Actually here. Let me see.
Yeah, well, anyone who's playing around with it, if you notice a bug or anything, please let us know. Support at Market Chameleon. It's always helpful.
Yeah. Right. So the other thing, we could do from the options chain is when you're on the options chain, you may want to take a look at how a specific option may have performed during different parts of today, right? Like maybe you wanted to look back and say, well, how did this, this particular option that closed at 374, where was it at a different part of the day? So what you could do is go back in time and look at the snapshots. So let's, for example, say, well, how did this 450 option, 450 call, what did it look like at 1 p.m.? So click on that. And then at 450, you could see it was 289, 290. And the stock was 446.60. So a couple things here as reference points is that you can go back and click on a previous snapshot during the day. And at the bottom, you also see the reference price in the stock. So you can see where the stock price was at that time of the day that we took a snapshot. All right. So we see that it started at 448, the stock, and finished at 448. So let's see at 9:30, where was this 450 call? So we started at 9:30. with the 450 call at 347, 350, right? And then you could see it was trading, stock went up, it's went down. Yesterday, it was kind of volatile. We finished at 448.96, right? So about 92 cents higher. So where did that close? Let's take a look. So that closed at 374, 376. So you could see that the stock went up, right? So the stock did go up from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. The stock increased by 92 cents, right? The stock increased by 92 cents, but the call decreased, right? So let's take a look at that again. From 9:30. Wait, did I get that wrong? Or the call did increase? Yep, okay, maybe it did. So we went from 347 to 350. Maybe I got that wrong. Okay, so it did increase by 25 cents. So what happened was from 9:30 to 4 o'clock, the stock increased by 92 cents. The call increased by 25 cents. So part of it was, the delta of the call impacted the option price. It went in the right direction, but there's also decay. So by the end of the day, it did increase by 25 cents. So here's what happened. The delta, right? There was a delta to the call. There was decay. And then another thing that happened were that the implied vols increased. So yesterday, the implied volatility also increased. That could have offset some of the decay. So by the end of the day, that option increased by 25 cents. And that's just one way to start analyzing that option by going back and comparing what. Let's see where the implied vols were at the time at 9:30. So 12.1. So you could see where the implied vols were at the start, 11.8. So the implied volatility from 9:30 to the end of the day increase, right? It went from 11.8 to 12.1. So if the implied volatility is increasing, that's offsetting some of that option decay, right? So that worked in the favor of the buyer, right? Because as implied volatility increases, so does the premium of the option, and also the stock went in the right direction for the buyer of that call. So it's just a quick way to kind of go back and analyze, well, how did the options markets look like? What happened? How did the trading impact the price of that option? So this way you could go back in points in time, and especially if you're looking at here, if you're looking maybe at a volume chart of how the volume traded throughout the day. If you find anything, points of interest or something, maybe an event that came out, you could kind of go back and compare how the option was before and after. All right. So we went over a couple things. Well, I guess we don't have any questions, then, we'll just kind of end it right there.
All right, perfect. I'm just reading some things popped up. No questions. Go through that new feature, everyone. If you have any, obviously D picked up one bug. If you see a bug or anything, please email support@MarketChameleon.com. Awesome job, D. Anyone who didn't catch the show yesterday with Interactive Brokers or the webinar, it sits on the library on an Interactive Brokers site, which is a very good library. I'll put that into the chat. We did just get a question from a new user just popped up, a new chameleon this morning. I don't know if you want me to give it to you or.
Sure.
He says, can we have any thoughts or insights about the Carvana stock move in the pre-market? I don't know if there was any news or anything. That was the question.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, I didn't read, I saw the headlines, I didn't read it, so I wouldn't be able to give any insights really from any news article, so any type of news that came out or article, I wouldn't be able to give you any good insights because besides the headline, I haven't really gone through it.
Yeah, just like all of us, none of us know until we go through it. Thanks so much for the questions, everyone, and the thoughts. Dee, awesome job. I'll put the link to the IBKR webinar library on their site in the chat.
Okay.
Rob says, excellent new feature, Dee.
All right.
Site, give it a go.
Thank you. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining. Stay safe out there. Have a great trading day. Hope to see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Trade in peace, everyone. Have a great day.